Bonjour, Ani. Kichwasa nangos kwendish nakas, nikikindodem, nip singandonjba, minwan swakmakandaya. Hello everyone, my name is Amy Commanda, and I work with Indigenous Student Affairs at Laurentian University. And I'm here today to read to you The Water Walker, written by and illustrated by Joanne Robertson, as part of National Indigenous Peoples Day. I really hope you enjoy this book. So let's get started. Nokomis loved Nebe, and Nebe loved Nokomis. Ah, look at that Nokomis. She's got her toes in the water, and she's splashing herself a little with the water too. The wind is blowing through her hair, and she has the most happiest and content expression on her face. You can tell that she really loves Nebe. Rain or shine, look at that Nokomis in the first picture. She's loving the rain. Look at that nice smile on her face. And then look at the people above her. They don't look like they're enjoying themselves. Something tells me that they don't think the same way about the rain, about Nebe, like Nokomis does. And in the second photo, we have Nokomis in a canoe. The sun is behind her. You have the fish, the gigon, jumping over the water. Beautiful picture. Hot or cold, calm or wild. Isn't it amazing how Nebe comes in all these different forms? It can come down as snow. It can be the water in your tea or soup or hot chocolate. It can be waiting up in the clouds on a nice bright day. Or it can come down in a storm and the wind can blow it around. Every morning, like the women in her family before her, Nokomis hopped out of bed, and before doing anything else, she sang, Kichimi gwech Nebe, for the life you give to every living thing on earth. I love you, I respect you. But one day a wise Gama told her, in my lifetime, the day will come when an ounce of water costs more than an ounce of gold. What are you going to do about it? Like an arrow, his words pierced Nokomis's heart. She looked around. She saw how people were disrespecting the water, wasting it, making it unfit for life. We can see in these photos, we can see through Nokomis's eyes how Nebe is being harmed. We see all these factories. We see the oil spilling from these pipelines into our water, poisoning and killing the fish. We see all the littering happening. We see people letting the water run in their homes when they don't need to do that. We see sprinklers. We see cars, so many cars, all the different ways that we are destroying the water. Day turned to night, nights turned to weeks, and Nokomis remembered the Gama's words. A few moons went by, and then one night, Nokomis had a bwachgun, a dream. Early next morning, Nokomis called her sister and Kwewok over for tea to talk about their responsibility to protect Nebe. 4 days later, Nokomis and the Mother Earth Water Walkers, as they came to be known, found themselves standing on the side of the road, wearing sneakers. Nokomis carried a copper pail full of nibeh in one hand and a megazeh staff in the other. If no one noticed nibeh, maybe they would notice the water walkers. Maybe someone would ask why they carried nibeh in their copper pail. Maybe someone would be moved to protect nibeh too. And as we can see all these wonderful kwewak, these women, in their lovely skirts. And they're walking for nibeh. They're standing up for nibeh because nibeh doesn't have a voice like we do. Nibeh can't stand up for themselves like we can for them. So they're standing up for nibeh and they're role modeling the kind of things that we should think about doing to help those in need, to help Mother Earth, to help the water. Nokomis and the Mother Earth water walkers walked around all the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River. They walked every spring for 7 years. They prayed and sang to nibeh. They left sema in every lake, river, stream, and puddle they met. They got up before the birds and went to bed when Nokomis Gises rose. Now here in the book we see the 5 different lakes, as well as the St. Lawrence River. We see Anishinaabe Kitchkame, Lake Superior, Ninwewe Kitchkame, Lake Michigan, Nadewewe Kitchkame, Lake Huron, Wapshkigo Kitchkame, Lake Erie, and Nikane Kitchkame, Lake Ontario. Nokomis was interviewed on television, in newspapers, and on radio. She was even in movies. But big companies, politicians, and even her next-door neighbors still did not feel the urgency to protect nibeh. What more can I do? Wondered Nokomis. A year later, over by the Atlantic Ocean, Anichikwe had a boachgun, which she shared with Nokomis as soon as she woke up. Nokomis shared the boachgun with all the people she had met during her previous walks. Word spread fast across Turtle Island. Everyone began to prepare. Next thing you know, there were kwewak standing at each salt nibeh surrounding Turtle Island, with a copper pail in one hand and a megazeh staff in the other, wearing sneakers. In the west, Nokomis and the Mother Earth water walkers set off from the Pacific Ocean saying, Ngajich nibeh onje, I will do it for the water. 1 year after a devastating oil spill, Nokomis and the water walkers set off from the Gulf of Mexico singing to nibeh and praying for healing for nibeh. Water, we love you. We thank you. We respect you. Next, Nokomis and the water walkers set off from the Atlantic Ocean in the east. At the send-off, they walked barefoot on the rocks and the beautiful petroglyphs and sang to nibeh. Putting on their sneakers, they started out on the migration trail their ancestors traveled hundreds of years before. In the frigid north, the ice was 5 feet thick. Nokomis and the Mother Earth water walkers put sema on the frozen nibeh, singing their thanks, respect, and love. Now as we turn the page, we see this beautiful spread full of images of all the experiences that Nokomis and the Mother Earth water walkers had on this journey. You can see all the different people that were involved, all the different lives that they touched as they spread the message about protecting nibeh. All the fundraising that they did, and others did. All the animal life that they saw, the different weather that they encountered. I'm sure they went through a lot of sneakers. All the ceremony that was held to pray for Nebe, to pray for healing for the water. All contained within these 2 pages. Saltwater tears filled the Mother Earth water walker's eyes as the 4 salt Nebe met Lake Superior. One day, the 4 salt Nebe will be reborn as clouds and be carried home on the wind, said Nokomis. Nokomis went through 3 knees and 11 pairs of sneakers, walking for Nebe. She got her knees replaced and is at home resting up, taking the time to surf online for new sneakers. Every morning she puts down her sema for Nebe and sings her gratitude. She prays people wake up and realize that without Nebe, there is no life. And she continues to wonder, what are you going to do about it? So here at the end of the book, we have some Ojibwe words and their pronunciations. So let's go through them now. First we have kwe, which means woman, and kwewok, which means women, so it's more than one woman. We have gachimikwech, thank you very much, wajgan, dream. We have nokomis, which we know means grandmother. We have nichi, which means friend. At the bottom, we have jiman, a canoe or a boat. And on the other side, we have megaze, which is the word for bald eagle. We have nokomis gizis, which is the word for moon, our grandmother moon. And ogma, which is a leader or a chief. And we have sema, which is our sacred tobacco. We have Turtle Island, which is what we call North America. And of course we have Nebe, which is one of the words for water. Now I think before we end, it's important that we read this last page here at the end of the book, which talks about our Nokomis. Nokomis Josephine Mandamen's home community was Wequemacong on Manitoulin Island, but she lived most of her life in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. Nokomis left for the spirit world on February 2nd, 2019. She left us many footsteps to follow in. In April 2003, Nokomis and the Mother Earth Water Walkers began their first walk for water. Nokomis was inspired to act by the prophecy Medewan Grand Chief Eddie Benton Benet shared, warning that water would become scarce and expensive if we didn't reverse our negligence. Nokomis walked in all kinds of weather, down highways, along paths, and up mountains. No matter how sore or tired, she continued to walk and sing to the water. By doing this, she taught us to go with the flow, like a river, because healthy water moves freely. Nokomis walked for all life on earth, trees, birds, plants, insects, animals, your family, and all of your grandchildren's grandchildren yet to come. Nokomis Josephine Mandamin was as precious as the water. On her 2015 walk alone, she put almost 4.5 million footsteps on her sneakers. She sacrificed weeks, sometimes months, away from her home every year to pray and sing for the water. She hoped that some of you reading this book would continue her work by protecting Nebe. You can learn more about her walks at www.motherearthwaterwalk.com. If you want to share with your family what you are doing to protect Nebe, you may mail a letter to The Mundamans at 628 Harold Street North, Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada, P764E3. It was really lovely to read this book with you. Thank you for listening.